What's up, y'all? I'm Nikki. This is Lum Life Art, and here goes nothing. So, this is part two of my redemption video. But why is there a part two? Because in part one, you saw that I made it to the top of Haystack Mountain. So I thought. Um, and then my electronics died right after I made that video. So, let's rewind a little bit. I took a few falls in the beginning. Ironically, the first one was around the same area where I fell before, just different location, like different spot. I took a nasty fall, got a couple of bumps and bruises. I lost my water bottle. The problem with that was now I was down a full thing of liquids already, right off the rip. The weather. The weather ended up being more treacherous than I thought, although this time it wasn't snowing. The rain I thought wasn't coming until nighttime decided to show up within like an hour of hiking, okay? An hour of hiking when I ended up being stuck up there for 12 hours. A trip that I thought was only going to take 4 to 6 hours. So there's that. The trails are not well marked, they are not well maintained. That's why when I thought I was on the top of Little Haystack Mountain, I was not. What was Little Haystack Mountain, I thought was just like a scenic view, so I just kept on going because there was a lot to see and I only had what I thought was a little bit of time. Where I ended up and where I shot the video from was the Franconia Ridge. Again, that's where I was directed to by some hikers. They said, "Oh, no, 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 the top is up there, blah, blah, blah." Franconia Ridge, from what I understand, is three mountains. So it's, I don't know in what order, but it's the Lafayette, the Lincoln, and the Liberty. Mountains that I couldn't even see because the fog and the rain was so bad that I couldn't even see that there was three mountains in front of me. I had basically two decisions at the top. It was either turn around and go back down, which is what I should have done, or follow through the loop that that's what I was told, was that it loops around, just follow it through. So that's what I did. Um Again, I was down everything. Like everything had gotten waterlogged, so all my electronics were down. Even my compass got waterlogged. I didn't even know a compass could get waterlogged. I had the proper supplies. I just didn't utilize them, and I don't know why. It was just in the moment. I was disoriented. I can make up all the excuses in the world, but I just didn't utilize my supplies. I brought them. I didn't use them. I'm an idiot. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. Even stupid things like my keys. I had my keys hanging on my backpack. My keys have a key fob, a remote starter, all of that. They were all waterlogged. So even when I got out, I couldn't unlock my car, arm it. I couldn't do anything. And the spare key that I also carried with me was also waterlogged. So there's all that. When I got at the top was brutal, okay? At the bottom it was about mid 50s and cloudy. At the top it was 34 degrees. It was now, instead of like a drizzle, it was ice pelts. And it was 50-mile an hour winds sustained with gusts up to 75. And I'm about 5 feet tall. If it wasn't for my backpack, I would have flown right off that mountain, and everything was just slippery and wet, and there was moss everywhere. Like, it was just nothing but slipping and sliding. It was like being back on ice again. um my jacket, shout out to my Rugrats jacket, because that thing kept me dry. I was really impressed, and thank the Lord for that, because come on now. My boots even kept me dry for a reasonable amount of time. I think that's what helped out a lot. So again, thankful for my boots. Even though I slipped a lot, they kept me dry for a good amount of time. um some things that I underestimated, other than obviously this hike and the weather and all that, was, I don't know if it's called altitude delirium or whatever it's called, but again, I didn't know where I was on my hike or how far up. So I thought I was like 600 feet in the air. I was like 12, 14 something up there, and I started to get disoriented and feeling off and dizzy and all that. My sugar was getting low. I do struggle with my sugar problems. I was dehydrated. I didn't have enough food for the 12 hours. I had enough for 4 to 6. I didn't have enough supplies for 12 hours, so I was really trying to milk it at that point. I also did not know that the trail had another name for it. I didn't know it was also called Bridal Way. I was under the impression that the trail was called Falling Waters or Little Haystack. So when I when I saw signs a bridle way, I ignored them and I kept following the trail that I was on instead. So again, I should have taken that and it would have brought me right back and I would have been fine. I would have been home, in the afternoon. That's not what happened. I did the 5.5 miles up Haystack. I did the 8.5 miles across the ridge. And then on the way down, I read a sign wrong. It said tramway. I thought it said trailhead. Didn't have my glasses. I was disoriented. I couldn't see with the rain and all that. So I ended up on a whole wrong trail. After that, somehow I wandered off the trail. And it wasn't till maybe like an hour into wandering off the trail that I realized there was no markers, there was no humans, there was nothing. And now I was in the national forest with no maps, no compass, no phone, no sense of direction. And I just had to use the best of my knowledge to get out. First thing I did was just walk to the bottom of the mountain. Was just the best thing you could do was just go to the bottom. I knew that the highway was near the mountain and the trailhead, so I shot for the bottom and then I just started listening for cars. The wind made it very hard. It kept tricking me. I kept thinking I was hearing cars. It was just wind. But I did eventually find myself down to the bottom, kind of near a parking lot. That's where I bumped into some guys and they helped guide me to um a bike trail that led me 7 miles back to my car. So yeah, once I made it to the bottom, I still had 7 miles to walk back to my car. Um, Again, I'm grateful because I did make it out. I made it out alive. I made it to the top where I wanted to do, and if anything, you can say I went above and beyond because I went on that mountain and 3 more mountains, and I made it out, on my own and generally unscathed. Although I was bumped and bruised and all that, I made it out all right. I just hope that not only did I learn something from this, but I hope other people can learn something from this. Again, I don't know why I had the supplies and didn't use them. That's on me. I'm just very stubborn, very independent, very just a pain in the ass, really, even for myself. But I just wanted to give y'all a second. I know this is long and rambly, but I think it's important to share that, and it's hard for me to share even my failures and stuff sometimes. I like to only show the positive and the good and the happy stuff. Again, I made it to the bottom. Good for me, but I barely made it out, and that scares the crap out of me. So I will not be hiking for at least a week. Probably because I can't. I can't even move around right now. That's why I'm sitting on a ball because I can't even stand to do a video. But y'all, thank you for following my journey, the ups and the downs and the in-betweens. Like, share, subscribe. I've got more to show you, more to go. And I hope you learned something from my mistakes. All right, y'all. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.